Welcome to the Ever Workplace podcast, an in-depth conversation featuring the voices shaping the Ever Workplace. On each episode, you'll learn the important role technology plays in the evolving remote work environment. You'll hear from the best minds in the industry discuss the future of work and how companies can value trust, deliver better employee experiences, and provide smarter IT connections, regardless of geographic location. So let's get started. My name is Jamie Whalen, and today with me is Daren Goeson, VP and General Manager of Unified Endpoint Management Products at Ivanti. Welcome, Daren. We're so excited to have you.
Well, thanks so much, Jamie. It's great to be here.
Daren, where is your Everywhere Workplace, if you don't mind me asking?
Yeah, for sure. In fact, my Everywhere Workplace is full-time work from home at Ivanti. We don't have an office here in Vancouver, so I work from home every single day. To tell you the truth, I love it. Get rid of the commute back and forth and be able to focus on work. And then when work's done, I'm ready to roll right into making dinner and playing with the kids. So it's great.
Someone, I think, had told me you're an avid bike rider as well, right? So maybe jumping on the trails or something like that as well, now that you don't have that commute, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm from Vancouver, Canada, and lucky enough to live here. I love the outdoors. I love the summertime riding and skiing in the winter. So I do take advantage of that as well. Another perk of being able to get rid of the commute and jump right out after my workday's done.
Well, here's to the Ever Workplace, and let's get started in this podcast. I'm very excited to have you here, honestly, because you can really help me understand things in a very different format, right? So I want to get a little bit of background, kind of what this podcast is going to be about and around the actual, DEX report. Some people don't know what the DEX, report might be. It's actually our digital employee experience report we recently did. This sheds a little bit of light into kind of what we'll be discussing with you, obviously, today. So, our latest show, we discovered, and covered this kind of from an outside influencer perspective, Daren. But this time I wanted some, deeper insight from our expert who kind of works on improving the digital experience every day, right? So that's why I have Daren here. I'm very excited to have him. But just context for everyone who's on this call, the DEX report really, it showed a lot. At Ivanti, we decided to survey 10,000 IT professionals, Daren. I'm sure you're aware of this, executives and end users around the world across a broad range of industries. So to evaluate the current state of digital employee experience and explore the role of IT in senior leadership in shaping it. And I'll tell you, we learned quite a bit. I found out that only 13% of employees are actually happy to work exclusively in the office. I mean, there's a huge landscape out there, and we have to ask this new landscape and how it's actually changing how we interact with technology. How does that in turn shape employees' productivity and satisfaction? And then, of course, how does it actually impact your organization's ability to hire and retain talent in a hybrid environment, right? So there's so many things we learned and discovered, and we have Daren on here to kind of really get into the nooks and crannies of it. So let's get right into it, Daren. Why do you feel the digital employee experience is important? And what is the main takeaway you have from that report that we recently did, would you say?
Well, great question, Jamie. In fact, I was drawn to the same statistic that you were, the fact that very few people want to go back to work full-time in an office, right? I think it was 13%. The reality is that most people want exactly what I want as well, flexibility in the way that they work. Sometimes at home, at the office if they have one available, but really in different locations, we need to get work done. So we need to have the tools and technology to be able to do that. And a significant number of people, I think 64%, said this actually impacts their morale at work. Having the right tools and having those tools be able to actually deliver the experience that they need. So it's really, really important in today's day and age in the way that we're working. I know I use multiple different devices to get work done. I'm often in different network environments, some strong, some really poor. I'm working from all different places, and I use technology. There's this technology interface between us, applications that we use between us to get work done. All of those need to be delivering a really good digital experience for us to be engaged at work and for the company's benefit to be productive and to really drive to the outcomes that the organization is working towards. So that's why it's so important from individual contributors all the way up to leaders within organizations to be really, really concerned with the digital experience that we have in our day-to-day jobs.
I love that. And I love the morale aspect you said, because it's so true, right? We do more than just work, right? We're not these robots that do something every day, right? We are people and humans, right, that are doing this work every day. Morale really matters. The way we feel about things really matters. So I'm really glad that you touched on that, because it's so true. It's more that humanistic touch, right, that we're trying to provide. So, and then how are you helping, Daren, to shape the employee experience via the digital experience here?
Well, great question, because, a lot of the time when we talk about digital experience, it's an assumption that equates exactly to the employee experience. When the reality is that the digital experience is a part of an overall employee experience. So digital experience might be how we interact and engage with the technology and tools that we use in workplace. But we can't forget about things like cultural experience that we all deliver within our organization, and physical experience. So when we are going into work, the type of physical environment that we're in. So those are very, very important. But what we find here is that the digital experience is actually becoming a larger piece of the pie of that whole employee experience, because we are working remotely or from different places, and there's a technology layer, like I said, in between us when we're doing work. We find that the digital experience is becoming more and more important in that overall employee experience aspect. So, it's really important. The other pieces, creating a good culture within your organization, having good managers, good management styles, is absolutely incredibly important to the overall employee experience. And digital experience is kind of working with those other experiences to provide that whole all up employee experience.
We're very fortunate here. I feel like we do have, one key that kind of empties the next key. We're very fortunate. So, I think it is a key concept there. So another one I have for you, can you share some of the top things that you feel contribute to a great digital employee experience, if you were to really list a few?
So first and foremost, it's about having the right technology to be able to do your job, right? So it's not necessarily about the best technology, but it's the technology fit for purpose for what you're trying to achieve, right? So your tools and technology need to make your job easier and need to make you more productive and engaged within your work, right? And this is constantly changing. As we're evolving in our everywhere workplace, that technology might shift. It's also important to understand which department you work in, for example, because the technology for someone in HR is going to be different than the technology for someone out of engineering or within another role. So fit for purpose technology is incredibly important. The next is consumer grade interfaces. We don't want to have good digital experiences when we're outside of work and then come into work and have to deal with antiquated old type of experiences, right? So we have to ensure that we're providing that consumer grade interface and interaction when we're at work. The other piece here is around intelligence. Leveraging AI and machine learning can actually really provide a lot of context into who the user is, so we can get more personalized and contextual to who that user is as we're delivering our technology of it. I think it's so important to move from rules-based system in our technology to using data to help drive the decisions and using context of who that person is. And then the last piece I would say really is all of this technology is great, but if it doesn't work or if there's glitches or whatever the case is, then that creates a challenge. So the technology needs to work, it needs to be supported and seamless so that people can actually use it to advance within their day and be more productive.
I couldn't agree more. I feel like we've all had that moment where we're like, why isn't this working? Why isn't this working?
Yeah, absolutely.
And I know even my friends, even especially my husband, a lot of the programs he works, it's on cloud, right? It's different types of cloud environments, right, Daren? And if it doesn't work, it's a big problem, right? He could do something and then someone changes it and then he can lose everything if that doesn't work correctly, on a project. So I mean, there's so many different, importances of it. So I think that's great. And then, Daren, what do you feel are some of the common issues that affect the digital employee experience?
When technology doesn't work, it has such a huge impact. And even more so, I know for me and colleagues that I talk to, sometimes when technology doesn't work, people just kind of battle through, or they restart their device, or they restart the application that they're doing. And it doesn't progress because no one knows about it. No one's trying to fix it, right? So leveraging technology that can actually identify these issues and try to proactively help them is really a key aspect of this. So taking the onus out of people to be reporting poor technology experiences and using technology to actually identify them and fix them is a key thing. In fact, it's one of the key things that Ivanti Neurons does. The other is around security, because a secure experience is an expectation within the enterprise. But a lot of time, to tell you the truth, security and experience have been button heads, right? You have a secure experience, but you can't get into the application easily that you want to, et cetera, right? So ensuring that when we're designing security solutions within our organizations, we have a focus of that digital experience and creating secure by design experiences rather than just blanket security. And the last one is, and it kind of is like the first one, is many organizations don't even know what the digital experience within their company is, right? So measuring that by using technology to identify these experiences, create some measures is really the first step for us to then get an understanding so that we can take the next most important step, which is optimizing the experience for our employees. So those three things, as soon as we can really start to understand, then that gives us the ability to create an action plan and optimize the experience, which is so incredibly important.
Who do you think, though, at the end of the day, is really responsible for the digital workplace employee experience? So, Daren, I mean, who would you say it is? If there was a person or company or, what is that? Whose side do you feel, should be really helping to make sure that this is ensured?
Well, that's a great question. I think, if you talk to many CIOs, they would say, hey, they're on the hook to be able to be delivering a good digital experience, right? And that's because they're delivering the tools and technology that's usually made available in an organization. But, I can tell you, DEX or digital experience is a board level conversation these days, because the most important resource that we have within our organizations are our people. And if our people are not engaged and productive, then there's a major problem within our organization. And at the board level, that's known. How do we get people engaged, right? And it's through providing a good digital experience. So everyone down from the CEO is responsible for making this a priority within their organization. For a CEO, for example, you have the overall productivity of your organization is at risk if you're creating poor digital experiences for your employees. If you go into the functions as well, HR, obviously within HR, understanding and creating a positive employee experience, of which we know a big part of it is a digital experience, is very important. And then when you do get into the IT organizations, they do ultimately become responsible for it because, like I said, they're delivering the tools, but really they have to think of this from multiple angles, from a service management angle, from a device management, because the devices are what's providing our experience, as well as cybersecurity in there as well. One of the things that Ivanti has a strength, because we have solutions across those three different pillars, what we say is really the convergence of those from the IT perspective is where that digital experience lies, and ways in which we can look holistically to help identify and improve that experience.
And that's one of my favorite words, actually, that you use too. So that's a really good one. I think, that convergence, it's so true. There's so many different things and different points, right, that we really need to think about and be cognizant of. And it's not just a one thought process anymore. We really need to be open to that. What are some of the factors you would say that influence the digital employee experience, Daren?
So first is around expectations, right? So in the past, I think expectations would be you go into work and you're using an older set of tools. But now the expectations really are that, like I said, consumer grade interface. That expectation, especially as we get into the younger workforce, in which they've grown up with technology in their hands that's intuitive, it's easy to use. The expectations for that within a workplace are absolutely there. So we need to be able to meet those expectations within our organization. The second is that it can't be rules-based, one size fits all in terms of the solutions that we provide, right? We need to use intelligence. It needs to be personalized, contextualized to you. Everywhere in our lives, things are becoming more and more contextual. When I drive my car now, when I get in the car, it sets the seat and the radio stations and everything exactly the way that I want it as soon as I open the door. Well, we need to deliver that type of experience as well within the organization. Security. It needs to be secure by design, but not inhibitive of the overall digital experience, right? So we need to ensure we are using things like zero sign-on technologies that's secure, but it doesn't mean you have to remember a 24-character password and 10 different of them for each individual solution, right? And then the last piece, I think, is really around the IT organization embracing that, ensuring that delivering the right solutions, but we have the right support for them, the right mechanisms to understand where digital experience might be coming, and be able to improve experience over time. So the IT organization fully bought into understanding, measuring, and using experience as a new metric that they're driving towards is absolutely critical in this overall picture.
I love that. And by the way, congrats on getting your car to do that. I've had my car for almost 3 years, and I keep telling my husband, we've got to like do each other's, because we get in and we always have to move things, but my car can do it for us. We haven't done it. So congrats to you on doing that. I have it on my to-do list. It's been on there for a couple of months now, and I got to get to it. So, one day I'll get that.
It's a game changer. And you know what? Now every time I get into a car and the seat doesn't automatically move and my music doesn't start playing, I get frustrated, right? So it's now definitely a challenge.
All right, Daren, this has been phenomenal. You are just, such a visionary. You have such great stuff to kind of really give to our audience. And I've really enjoyed having you here. So I have a couple last questions I always like to do. They're kind of crazy, but I'm sure you're up for them. So where is it that would be your dream ever workplace? We always try to stay consistent in the beginning and the end of, really showcasing all of this and all the opportunities. But I'd love to know kind of what your dream ever workplace would be if you had one.
Well, to tell you the truth, I've often lived my dream everywhere workplace. I have 3 kids, right? And they keep me very active. And usually once the workday's ending, we have all sorts of activities going, right? But the reality is sometimes I need to get work done, right? So things that I love to do are going camping, going skiing, etc. And I will admit, I've taken calls from the ski chair lift. I've taken calls from huddled up behind our camper and everything. So, I feel like sometimes I am absolutely living my dream workplace.
Oh, I love that. And it's so nice to hear that, because I feel like the old school was, even when I talked to my parents or different generations, that just wasn't a thing. It wasn't even an opportunity. My parents both went to work every day. I went where I had to go, and then we met up at the end of the day. They never had an opportunity. So I think it's so true to hear that, and so nice, because it's true. I have a couple kids myself, and days can be crazy. And the fact that, you can kind of actually do it all without feeling like you're doing nothing. That's how I used to feel sometimes. I feel like it's a really good place. So thank you for sharing that. It's really nice to hear kind of some personal touches too, Daren. And then the last one I have, which maybe the ski chairlift one was it, but what's the craziest ever workplace you've had in your career?
Is it the ski lift? Probably that one. But you know what? It's funny because the other week I was actually on a call with someone. It wasn't my crazy workplace, but I found it really funny because I got on the call and the person was up on video camera on the call, but was actually on a plane in the middle of a flight, had a mask on because that was regulations for the flight, but still working away. You can hear the buzz of the plane going in the background, right? So I thought, if someone can do that up up in the air with with restrictions of masks on it, etc., then we can work from anywhere now. We've made it. So I found that to be a pretty funny experience.
I give that person credit. I feel like every time I get on a plane, my computer just doesn't want to work with me, or something happens, and so I give that person props for getting on and getting connected. But yeah, it's a really good thing. Well, thank you so much, Daren, for being on today. I'm so glad everything worked out, and we were able to have you here. So thank you so much. We greatly appreciate it, and I hope you get back to all of your fun activities that you do there. And thank you all for listening to our podcast today of the Ever Workplace, which is a program of Ivanti's. Make sure to visit our website at Ivanti.com, where you can follow the show on your favorite podcast platform so you'll never miss an episode. You can also connect with us on Twitter at GoIvanti, or other actual channels we have for social. And while you're at it, if you found value in this show, we'd appreciate it if you can leave us a rating or a review. And be sure to tune in for our next episode. I'm Jamie Whalen, and this is Mr. Daren Goeson, and we're signing off. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Jamie. Take care, everyone.